Let's get into our Super Bowl odds segment. So we have a fresh batch of odds for you via Odds Shark. That's the source that we used. And we're going to start off with the worst odds here among teams mathematically in the playoff hunt. The Tennessee Titans start things off at number 15, 125 to 1. We just talked about it. Mitchell, have been uninspiring the last few weeks.
Uninspiring, and have a tough matchup again this week against the Jags. DeMarco Murray is questionable, so I don't know if he's going to play, so they might have to lean on Henry, though Henry did run for 92 yards and a touchdown the last time he played the Jaguars. We'll see, but I'll tell you what, I would be surprised to see the Titans in the playoffs.
All right, so Tennessee there at number 15. By the way, Jaguars not going to be resting their starters in that game, at least according to head coach Doug Marrone. We shall see if he's just playing mind games, but there are the Titans at 15 in terms of Super Bowl odds rankings. Number 14, the same odds here, the Buffalo Bills, 125 to 1, and you're going to see some repeats of the odds here. We actually used some tiebreakers here to put teams ahead of one another, but there are the Bills there at 14.
Yeah, again, not surprising. This is a team who needs a few things to go their way to even get into the playoffs and win a game. So, again, not a playoff caliber team, in my opinion.
All right, so Buffalo there at 125 to 1. The LA Chargers are the next team at number 13, 66 to 1. You give them any shot here for the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl, maybe not. That one's a little bit of a stretch.
They need some help to get in first.
But still, hey, they got to get in. For a team who started 0-4, I think the Chargers need to look at themselves and say, all right, guys, like we had a really good season, but I do love Phillip Rivers, but he has yet to prove to me that he can win a big game. He makes too many turnovers in costly games, but when you win 8 of your last 11 games, you're playing solid football. That defense has been playing a lot better. We'll see if they can put it together a win this week, but I think they're going to make the playoffs, Cam.
All right, so the Chargers are at 13. They take on the Raiders this week. Number 12 in terms of Super Bowl odds, we got the Baltimore Ravens 33 to 1. What do you make of my Ravens here, Mitchell?
Well, you know, I kind of am not a believer, we'll say that, in Joe Flacco, but this defense I am a believer in, and it really kills me that they just lost Jimmy Smith because I think with him, they are one of the best defenses in the NFL. Unfortunately, they don't have the offensive firepower, I believe, to be able to win the Super Bowl, but they have an easy game this week, I believe, against the Colts or Bengals. They play the Bengals this week.
At home, yeah.
Yeah, they play the Bengals this week, which is a game that I believe they're going to win. Going to get in the playoffs as the 5 seed.
All right, so the Ravens checking in at number 12 here. The Seahawks are ahead of the Ravens, and the Seahawks don't even control their playoff destiny. They have a 25 to 1 odd here to win the Super Bowl. Look, if Seattle gets in, can they be that dangerous team? Sure, but can they even get in? That's the question.
That's the ultimate question. I mean, they need to win this week against the Arizona Cardinals, and they need the next team who's up on our list to lose. So, again, this team, I don't know if they can get in, but Russell Wilson, who I think has been an MVP caliber quarterback, when he's on the field, you have to at least give them a chance. But that offensive line has not played well, and that defense has not showed up the last few weeks.
And we'll get to a reaction poll after the Falcons analysis here. So the Falcons check in at number 10, 25 to 1 odds. So it's between these two teams to get that number 6 seed in the NFC. And look, if the Falcons get in, certainly can get back to the Super Bowl. They were there just last year. Of course, we all, think about the collapse and all that. But look, let's face it. I mean, they played well for a good portion of that game. Matt Ryan can get back there and be a threat in the Super Bowl. We'll see if it actually happens. The Falcons have to take care of business this week against Carolina. How do you like Atlanta's chances here?
Well, I will say this. The Falcons at home, I think, are a much more serious matchup to be considered, especially against the Carolina Panthers. But the Panthers have a lot to play for. This team is just experiencing the biggest Super Bowl hangover I have ever seen. I expected it, but Matt Ryan went from 38 touchdowns, Cam, to 19.
Yeah.
That's a hangover that I can't even imagine. I don't even want to know what that's like. So.
All right, let's pull up this reaction poll here because I want the people at home to start throwing in these votes. Who gets the number 6 seed in the NFC? So it's between the Falcons and the Seahawks. If the Falcons beat the Panthers, they are in. But if Seattle wins this week and the Falcons lose to Carolina, then Seattle is in. What happens, Mitchell? Project things for me.
Whew. So I think the Carolina Panthers are going to beat the Atlanta Falcons. I think they match up very well. The Atlanta Falcons have given up the most receptions to running backs with 101 this season. And guess what? The Carolina Panthers have a guy named Christian McCaffrey, tied for second in the NFL with receptions. I think the Carolina Panthers have a certain swagger, have a certain toughness that's very tough to stop, especially for a team like the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, the Seahawks are struggling right now, and I thought, to be honest, they played one of the worst games I've ever seen last week against the Dallas Cowboys. Still won the game, but I think that they're a good enough team where they can go and they can beat the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm going to throw out my wow face, Cam. Seattle Seahawks making the playoffs.
Wow. You know what? I'm throwing up the heart. I think the Falcons beat the Panthers at home. You know, on paper, the Panthers probably look like the better team, but I think the Falcons sneak into the playoffs. We'll see if they can make some noise, but I do have them inside that picture. All right, so we just talked about the Seahawks and the Falcons in terms of Super Bowl odds. How about the Jacksonville Jaguars? They have 16-1 odds, and look, let's just look back to 2017 going into the season. Nobody expected this. Nobody.
Well, I don't want to say nobody. I did project the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the division.
Oh,
I
well
did
then,
on
there you go.
on the show on here in Chat Sports. I did, but did I think that they were going to be this dominant on defense? I don't really know about that. I'm not going to sit here and toot my own horn like that. But Blake Bortles has been playing well. The running game has been solid. With even when Leonard Fournette has missed, they've been playing well. So, and then you have guys stepping up like Keelan Cole, T.D. Westbrook. This is a team who I wouldn't want to play because I think defense travels, especially in the playoffs. So. Defense wins championships, Cam. We'll see.
You know, there's one team the Steelers don't want to see in the playoffs, and I think it's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think it's also the Jaguars, Patriots.
Well, the Patriots too, but the Jaguars scared Big Ben in that game. I mean, Ben had 5 interceptions. It was not a good game. And that was the earlier part of the season, etc. Fine, but the Jacksonville Jaguars can make some noise in the playoffs. Can they get to a Super Bowl? I don't know if it's this year. Not too bad odds though, ranking at number 9. All right, how about number 8 here? The Kansas City Chiefs. I don't like this one. I think they should be a little lower, Mitchell, to be honest with you. They're going to win the AFC West. That's all good and dandy, but I think they have a one-round exit written all over them.
And I couldn't agree with you any more, Cam. I mean, this Kansas City Chiefs team, for the last half of the season, has just been, I think, one of the biggest laughingstocks. I mean, you're talking about a team who was number 1 on our power rankings for many, many weeks, undefeated, and we were like, wow, this Chiefs team is legit. And then Alex Smith showed up. They stopped giving the ball to Kareem Hunt. I will say they've gone back to giving Kareem Hunt the ball more, which has then turned into wins, believe it or not. But I'm excited to see Patrick Mahomes this week. But again, this is not a Chiefs team to me who I think can ultimately win a Super Bowl because they're handicapped by the quarterback play.
All right, so the Chiefs are there at number 8. Number 7, the Carolina Panthers, 14-1 odds. They actually have a shot to get a first-round bye if they can win and have a bunch of stuff go down. It's not going to happen probably. But still, I mean, they're the Panthers there at number 7. I feel like there's an argument to be made that they can be higher in terms of the odds.
I'll tell you what, if they win this week and the Saints and the Vikings lose, that's how they get up to that 2 seed. So, I mean, there is a chance for them to get up there. I think actually also the Rams have to lose, Cam. I'm not 100% sure.
The Rams do have to lose or tie.
Okay, so if the Panthers have that first-round bye, I mean, these odds are going to shoot up the board. But Cam Newton, when he has that swagger and this defense plays with the physical toughness that they are capable of playing with, they are a tough team to beat. I would not want to play them. I mean, they just beat the Minnesota Vikings a few weeks ago. Yeah, they didn't play all that well against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but at the end of the day, good teams find a way to win. Carolina Panthers, they're a scary team in the playoffs.
Let's stay in this division here, Mitchell. Let's go to number 6, the New Orleans Saints, 10-1 odds. I think the beauty of the Saints, run the football effectively. They can be physical, but hey, if it becomes a shootout, bring out Drew Brees, throw the football 55 times, you're in good shape.
Yeah, man, I love the Saints, especially this year. I mean, they're a fun team to watch. I mean, considering they have Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, who both have over 1,300 rushing yards or total yards from scrimmage, is pretty amazing. Like, when you have just 2 running backs who can do so many different things in your backfield, and then you have Drew Brees, who's on pace to break the NFL completion percentage record, like, this is an offense who can beat you in so many different ways. And their defense is very underrated. They've been playing much better. Sure, I think Lattimore still isn't 100% healthy. They've lost a few key pieces on the defense with their linebacking core, but you can't tell me there's a single NFL team right now that wants to play the Saints. No way.
All right, so the NFC South has not been determined yet, at least the winner. So we have a reaction poll for the folks at home. Who wins the NFC South? Give us a heart for the Saints, a wow face for the Panthers. The Saints control their destiny. They win, they get the South. If they lose and the Panthers beat the Falcons, the Panthers get the NFC South, and the Carolina Panthers will be hosting a playoff game. So, Mitch, it comes down to one team perhaps going on the road, another hosting a playoff game. That means a lot.
It does mean a lot, but I think the Saints have the easier road. They play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where the Carolina Panthers have to play the Atlanta Falcons on the road. Cam, if there's one thing I think that you know about me, I am a huge Breeze lover, so this is super fitting that the Saints are a heart. I'm going to throw up a heart here because the Saints are going to win this game. They're going to win the NFC South. They are the best team in the NFC South. Love seeing those Saints. Who Dat Nation, get at me.
We're getting a lot of hearts, so a lot of Who Dat Nation representatives out there watching NFL Daily here. All right, so we'll see what happens in the NFC South. We do know the winner of the NFC West, the Los Angeles Rams. They have the 5th best Super Bowl odds, 10-1 here.
Yeah, as we all predicted, the Rams were going to win this division, which is pretty amazing. I went back and I looked at our power rankings the very first week, and it made me chuckle because we'll just say the Rams weren't all that high. But it's amazing. Minus Jeff Fisher, insert a new head coach in Sean McVay, a young guy, and now you have Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, who I think is the best running back in the NFL right now. This is a team who is steamrolling teams. They're putting up points at it's not to the rate of greatest show on turf, but I'll tell you what.
It's up there.
They're getting close, man. They're a fun team to watch. And that defense with Donald just coming up the middle, scary defense. Rams, they are a legit team, very legit team. I would love to see them in the Super Bowl.
The offensive line playing a lot better this year too, so certainly something to monitor as we go into the playoffs when the run game is needed big time. All right, so the Rams are there at 5. How about number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles? The argument could be made if Carson Wentz is the current quarterback. The Eagles would probably have better odds, but 8-1, there you go with Nick Foles. Take what you can get, I guess.
I'm actually surprised by this because it's Nick Foles. Yes, the Eagles have won with Nick Foles, but they haven't played very good teams game. Like I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to say 100% sure that the Giants will not make the playoffs. So, like, this Eagles team has yet to, I think, really come out and show that they can play well. They really struggled last week against the Oakland Raiders, in which I thought was one of the worst Monday games I've ever seen. I almost fell asleep doing it on Christmas. Like, I couldn't even believe it. Nick Foles, the offense looked out of sync. The running game was not going well because, again, teams are stacking the box, forcing Nick Foles to beat them. It's hurting their defense. I'm surprised the Eagles are this high.
All right, so the Eagles are at number 4. I'm seeing a lot of skull comments flowing in. Let's bring up the Minnesota Vikings. Here they are, 5-1 odds to get that home game Super Bowl, if you will. I'm telling you, Mitchell, this defense, top down. I'm talking about secondary to the defensive line. Very, very solid. Case Keenum playing effectively at the quarterback position, and Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, really fantastic wide receivers. Top 5, I feel, wide receiving duo in the NFL.
Ooh, okay. I can get with that. Especially because there's a certain guy who's hurt right now in our next team on the list. But they also have a good running back duo with McKinnon and Latavius Murray.
Sure.
Case Keenum has played unbelievable, just stepping in. And this defense, I will say, the Minnesota Vikings defense at home, Cam, is the best defense in the NFL when they play at home. They have not allowed more than 20 points in the entire season at home. The only team that has scored more than 18 points is the New Orleans Saints. That came in week 1. This Minnesota Vikings team beats teams up at home, and if they're home, good luck. They're going to get into the playoffs. They're going to get into the Super Bowl. My mistake.
They're going to be a very scary team in the NFC playoffs, and I think there is an opening here with Carson Wentz's injury for perhaps Minnesota to be that team in the NFC. Okay, so they have the 3rd best odds. We have the Steelers there at number 2, 5-1, and Pittsburgh losing Antonio Brown for what seems to be a couple of weeks. Looks like he could be back here for the playoffs. That's going to be very important to monitor that injury there for Pittsburgh.
I think it is 100% predicated. If Antonio Brown can play, I think that this team can make the Super Bowl. If Antonio Brown is not 100% healthy and is not on the field, I don't think the Steelers really have a chance. So, yes, they still have Le'Veon Bell, who you could argue is the best running back in the league, who is just on a historic pace of touches, averaging like 28 a game. But I just don't think Ben Roethlisberger is good enough to get it done with Juju, Martavis Bryant, and Eli Rogers, or whoever the heck else they have on catching the ball. But if Antonio Brown's on the field, Cam, and he's healthy, there's no reason why the Steelers can't beat the Patriots, because they should have beat them before.
All right, so there are the Steelers at 2. Number 1, the New England Patriots, 2-1 odds to win Super Bowl 52, Mitchell.
I mean, like, is this even surprising? Like, coming into the season, the Patriots, like, we know what the Patriots are. And yes, they started the season off rocky against the Chiefs, but of course they play their best football at the end of the season. Tom Brady has been struggling, though. He has been struggling the last few weeks, so I think that's something to monitor. We saw Peyton Manning fall off a cliff real quick when he got older. He is 41. Just saying, Cam.
Hey, we'll ask about it later in the show, so stay tuned.
Just saying.
All right, so there are the Patriots there at number 1. Let's summarize what we have here in terms of our Super Bowl odds rankings, folks. If you're just tuning in, you missed your team, here you go. We got the Tennessee Titans there at 15, Buffalo at 14, Los Angeles Chargers at 13, Baltimore Ravens at 12, Seattle Seahawks at 11. Mitchell, pick a scary team in that list there that could perhaps steal a Super Bowl.
Steal a Super Bowl? I guess I'm going to go with your Baltimore Ravens, and it's just simply because of the defense. I think the defense is the best team there, and if Joe Flacco can play the way that we saw him play, in 2012, that team is scary good because I don't think any of the other teams have a good enough defense or a solid enough offensive line.
All right, 15 through 11 right there. Let's go to 10 through 6 here. Falcons, Jaguars, Chiefs, Panthers, Saints. A few NFC South teams there, and Jacksonville as well, an AFC South representative. A couple of legit Super Bowl contenders on this list here, Mitchell.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the Jaguars with that defense, sure, their quarterback play is a little bit lacking, but Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints, I think it's crazy to see 3 teams from the same division. A lot of people who follow me on Twitter have been saying the NFC South is the best division in all of football, and when you see a graphic like this, I think it's hard to argue.
All right, so 10 through 6 there. Let's go to 5 through 1. Rams, Eagles, Vikings, Steelers, Patriots. These are the favorites. Mitchell, does it make sense to keep New England there at number 1?
It does. I mean, as long as number 12 is Colin Hike for the Patriots, I mean, there's a reason why people call him the GOAT. There's a reason why I think he is the greatest quarterback of all time. He wins big games, and as long as he's Colin Hike, it's hard to argue. But I'll tell you what, the team that I'm rooting for the most on that list right now, Cam, Minnesota Vikings, and then the Rams are a close second.
Skol, baby. Minnesota Vikings.
Skol Nation.
Looking like a fantastic team in the NFC. Those are your Super Bowl odds rankings, folks. This is NFL Daily.